Hello and thanks for joining us. Coming up on today's show, the top exhibitions of the moment. Beginning with the Palace of Versailles' winter wonderland of contemporary art. The Forgotten People, an exhibition shows us the societies who came before the Incas. And Christians, Jews and Muslims, can they coexist together? A museum in Paris looks at the world's shared sacred spaces. The Château of Versailles, just outside of Paris, is well known for its summer art shows, which have in recent years made the front pages of French newspapers. But for the 10th edition, the art extravaganza is taking place in the autumn and winter months. Olivia Salazar-Winspear takes us on Versailles' winter journey.
A bucolic game of hide and seek on a very opulent scale. 17 different artists have sewn work around the gardens of Versailles. For the visitors, there's a sculptural surprise at every corner. In one woodland clearing, a lonely face. Mark Mander's melancholic bronze looks like it's shaped from the earth upon which it rests. Versailles has been exhibiting contemporary art for 10 years now, and far from being a curious choice, it's very much in keeping with the chateau's creative spirit.
This castle was created from nothing. There was just an empty plot of marshland before Louis XIV made his extraordinary home here, with exceptional gardens, beautiful statues with painting, theatre, literature and music.
Here, glinting in the winter sunshine, it's not a Chinese dragon, but a composite sculpture made by Anna Molinero. She's melted down plastic bins to create her installation. Further into the grounds, in a little grove, Franco-Moroccan artist Hisham Barada's showing his mineral mouldings, encased in these glass columns. The bronze elements inside are slowly decomposing.
There's a mist that's released, like a gas, which creates these airy landscapes that change throughout the day. And the bronze is undergoing an accelerated aging process. So these are very abstract forms, which don't look like anything, but could look like many different things. And I like the idea that people can project what they will onto these forms, be it landscapes, animals, anything that might come to mind.
And in an altogether more futuristic landscape, hexagonal clouds, the creation of Argentinian artist Tomás Saraceno. Floating above the King's Garden and glinting in the light, it's a fitting poetic tribute to the home of the Sun King.
And you can check out the installations until the 7th of January at the Château of Versailles. Next, an exhibit showcasing the daring nude paintings by the Italian artist Amedeo Modigliani. A century ago, Parisian police censored the only solo exhibit in the artist's lifetime on the grounds of indecency. Today, gallery goers in London are marvelling at his paintings at the new show at the Tate Modern Gallery. 12 of his nudes appear among around 100 other works.
Modigliani really pushed the boundaries, and in some senses it was because he connected with tradition, he reinvented tradition. He showed that real women could also be presented as people, with their sensuality, with that physicality very present. You see the way they're painted, there's a real tactility to the brushwork, and yet they have characters, they have personalities. The gallery where Modigliani's works were shown was opposite where a police commissioner happened to be living. And he saw the works and was shocked. He ordered for them to be removed from the window. And it's really funny to think, given how popular these images are now, that they had that impact at the time.
And the exhibition runs at London's Tate Modern Gallery until April. We know much about the Incas who lived in Peru 1,500 years ago, but little about the societies that came before them. Before the Incas is an exhibition at the K. Branly Museum. It displays more than 300 ceramic and wooden items, gold jewels, ornaments and emblems from these forgotten people. Emerald Maxwell reports.
Moche, Lambayeque, Chimu, Kupisnique. Their names are little known to the public. Often eclipsed by the Incas that came after them, these pre-Columbian Andean civilizations flourished more than 3,000 years ago on the coast of northern Peru.
La convirtieron en uno de los.
This region was one of the richest and most productive of Peru at the time, which allowed for the creation of some extremely complex societies. Because as soon as they had enough stock, they could dedicate people to activities other than agriculture. They could become artisans, specialists, and things like that.
In particular, they dedicated themselves to the arts. Ceramics, sculpture, jewellery. Over 300 works exhibited for the first time in France. Lying at the heart of all these cultures, nature.
This necklace represents a spider, but if you look at it from this angle, you see a warrior's face. When you turn it around, you see a spider again. This double vision between animals and man is a very important element in Muche culture. This is a pendant that represents the deity of the mountains. She's a head cutter that demands human sacrifice.
Archaeologists spent more than 30 years assembling this collection. Visitors, on the other hand, only have until April 2018 to see it in Paris.
In the modern world, religion often enters the conversation as a reason for division and conflict. A new exhibition in Paris is looking at the world's shared sacred spaces, such as Jerusalem, where different religious communities coexist together. It examines if they can accommodate each other's religious needs. Catherine Clifford reports.
An exhibition mapping out where and how the world's one-God religions have come together, or collided. Housed in France's Immigration History Museum, a colonial palace built for the 1931 Paris World Fair. The journey begins in the Holy Land, where prophets attract followers in the three major single-God religions, moving on to the Virgin Mary, cited 19 times in the New Testament and 34 in the Quran.
Here you can see a magnificent miniature Islamic illustration dating back to the 14th century, in which the angel Gabriel tells Mary she will divinely conceive the baby Jesus. And here we move on to the nativity scene in Bethlehem, and we see that the sacred Christian site is now visited daily by Muslims who pray for healthy pregnancies there.
The Mediterranean Sea has allowed for many of these mergings. The island of Lampedusa is known today as a gateway to Europe for migrants who risk their lives to reach it by boat. For centuries, it was home to a small chapel dedicated to both the Virgin and an Islamic saint. Meanwhile, the Tunisian island of Djerba plays host to a pilgrimage site for both Jews and Muslims.
The Ghriba is a synagogue found on the island of Djerba. In Arabic, this means the stranger or the mysterious one, and she's a saint for both Jews and Muslims. And we can see in this film or this photo a Jewish woman side by side with a Muslim woman, both praying, veiled and barefoot. You can't tell the difference between them.
The exhibition is also intriguing territory for those who facilitate dialogue between religions. In 1954, Louis Massignon founded the Seven Sleepers Muslim-Christian pilgrimage. And in the 19th century, the Algerian Emir Abdelkader protected Christians during his exile in Syria. Placed in the current context of religious tensions, these gestures can be all the more moving.
Yes, it moves me because there's war. So an exhibition like this is a good thing.
But the exhibit also reminds us that some attempts to bring religions together put lives on the line. Jesuit priest and peace activist Paolo Dalloglio was kidnapped after voluntarily approaching Islamic State headquarters in Raqqa in 2013, hoping to negotiate the release of hostages. There's been no sign of life from him since then.
And that exhibition, Shared Sacred Spaces, is on at Paris's Immigration History Museum until January, before it heads off to Marrakesh and New York. Now, we'll leave you with a beautiful exhibition at Paris's Musée d'Orsay that opens this weekend. It's dedicated to the book Degas, Danse, Dessin, written by Paul Valéry, published in 1937. This key book in the field of modern art explores the friendship between Degas and Valéry through texts and pictures. Remember our website, we're also on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook. There's more news coming up on France 24 after this.